Yes. Oh, I didn't do my makeup at all.
You did.
Oh, that's true. Wow.
What are you talking about?
My memory's that bad.
I was like,
My short-term memory is that bad.
We're just
I
tired.
just did my makeup and I forgot I did my makeup.
that's
Wow.
basically how this week is going. Okay.
Yo, that's scary.
Because we
I
both
can literally
thought.
put on lipstick and everything. I totally blanked that memory from my head. Let me look at myself to make sure. Yeah, I am made up.
Yeah, you definitely are. Okay.
What up, you guys? I'm Bianca.
And I'm Adrianne.
And we're two creative women eating ice cream and living in New York City. Going through a lot of stuff.
And that's why we're here to share and reflect on our experiences, and hopefully you'll learn something from it.
Or you can just laugh with us.
In this episode of Women in the Wild,
What are we talking about?
something pretty wild. Maintaining your sense of self while dating or while in a long-term relationship, whichever
Wow.
you're in.
Such an interesting topic. Can you tell me about that? What
Yes.
exactly do you want to say about that?
Well, I don't know if you guys even noticed, but I'm pretty sick this week. It's my turn. It's my turn to be sick this week. But a lot of the things that I've realized, which I've been telling Bianca, was that like I never realized like how much I've lost myself like in the past 3 years.
Sorry about the door, everyone.
Yeah, if you can hear that.
Don't move into a first floor of a building. That's the lesson I learned last year. Sorry.
No, it's alright. So I didn't realize like how lost that I was until like I was actually fully alone, like back into my own apartment, like now sick, because coming back, and I've also been traveling a lot. So like I just came back from San Francisco a week ago, and moved into a new apartment. So like I needed to buy like things. I didn't just like have things ready to go. So like here I am sick, dying, and I'm like calling you in the morning like I don't have medicine, like I don't know what to do.
Were we already doing our 7 a.m. call at that?
No, not yet.
Why did you call me in the morning?
No, I guess it was, or I think I called you like just randomly, and I was
Okay.
like, I'm sick, and like something like that. And
I remember the call.
Yeah, and then I was just like, I don't know what kind of medicine to get, and like all these things, and you were asking if you wanted to bring me stuff, and then I was like, no, it's okay, like this is something that I really need to do on my own. And you probably texted me like 3 other times too after.
You want me to bring you something? You want me to bring you something? You want me to bring you?
And I think you even had a voice memo. It's like, do you want me to bring you something? You tried like everywhere.
Hey Adrian, just in case. Do you want me to bring you something?
And I think even on my IG story, like, how are you feeling? Do you need me to bring you something?
I'm annoying.
Yeah, so and I was like, no, this is something that I need to do myself, because I didn't realize until the morning that I woke up and I wasn't feeling well. I was like, how do I not know what kind of medicine to buy? Like, I didn't know if I needed like an ibuprofen, like a Tylenol. Oh my gosh, I'm 24, turning 25 this June. And I was just like, do I need like, what was an expectorant? I didn't know that word before this week like started. Like, what do you expect? Like, expectorant? Okay, sorry, I'm so
Wait.
An
Is it with an
expectorant?
X?
Yeah.
Is it an X?
And it's like basically like the cough.
You would
thing,
expect, you know, what
that I would know what that was. Apparently not. Apparently it's something that you need so that you can like take the phlegm out of your.
I actually need that too, because I'm not sick anymore, but I have phlegm every day.
Did you know that? Did you know that you needed an expectorant?
No.
Yeah, so now you've learned something from me.
But the difference between you and me is you don't know it because you've been in a relationship and someone had taken care of you before, like your whole life. I've always been lonely and single. I'm just stupid.
No, but your roommate is also pretty great.
Oh, yeah.
So like she
I have
brought
the
you
best
like all the
roommate.
meds.
She brought me all the meds. One day I walked in and this whole counter was like medicine.
Yeah,
it's
no,
like
she had a
$100
pharmacy.
worth of medicine. But yeah.
And I think my roommates would have done the same thing. Like they would have gone out and like bought me stuff had I asked them. But again, it was like one of those things that I was like, no, I need to do this by myself. So anyway, where was my point? It was like, I'm so guilty. I have been there. So like I'm coming from experience of like being in a relationship and like being lost. And then on the flip side of that is like, I thought that I was okay, that I still maintained my sense of self.
By being lost, you mean that you just didn't think about how to take care of yourself.
Exactly, take care of myself, or like just do things like on my own that I would never like really think about. I guess a better example also, aside from like being sick, is like, and please, this is a no judgment, like I did
safe space.
Safe space, but like please, yeah, make fun of me. I did not know how to make pancakes until that morning that you made pancakes for me.
I taught you how to make pancakes, and I feel special.
And I never realized that I like never knew
you
how.
take water and you take the mix.
Okay, back in the day.
Well, back in the day, there
you used to have to like make it with eggs and like all these things.
Just a mix that you have to put eggs in it still.
Yeah, thank God for Aunt Jemima. Aunt Jemima, you're a freaking winner.
So sorry, I interrupted you when you were saying that that you were lost because you didn't know how to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
But while you were in the relationship, you thought you were in control.
Exactly.
I think you were gonna mention your business and stuff like that.
Yeah. So it was just like those little things that you would think about until you're like, oh, you have to go do it yourself. Like even taking out the trash and like little things, like very little things.
But you didn't realize it when you were in it.
Yeah, because like everybody's always been doing this. Like I went from like my grandparents cooking me pancakes to like anybody else, and like even you made me pancakes. Okay, like it's crazy. But then I thought like, oh, I'm doing well. Because like I own my own business, my own business was also like my hobby, so I didn't really like look elsewhere for like anything. I didn't check in with myself, I didn't check in with other people, so like I just thought like, oh, everything's fine. I thought that I was good enough, exactly. So
that was good enough. You are good enough. Yeah. But you thought that was good enough.
Thank you. But yeah, no, I thought that was good enough, and that like that's all that I deserved, and also like all I wanted to do, like because I'm checking in with maybe like my high school self, right? That it's like, oh, I already got the job that I wanted, I live in the city that I've wanted, I have this guy who like takes really good care of me, and I travel. So like that's what a lot of people say, but then it's like, okay, but then what do I like? Okay, great, people are validating me, it's wonderful, but like I can't even do that for myself. So I was like, oh, that's like how lost I was. That one, it was like the little things I didn't even notice that I couldn't do for myself, and like two, like I just refused to check in on myself because I thought everything was fine, because everything that like I wanted in high school or like even in college I've already like achieved, and like I haven't really challenged myself. So,
and also I think we have more needs as we grow too.
Or like maybe priorities, yeah,
or
that too.
Priorities, you can call them, yeah. Because like what your high school self thought she needed is probably like a list of 2 things. But like as an adult, there's so much to take care of. Like even your image is more important because now you're a professional. And like, yes, you do run your own business, but running your own business covers so many things. Like you have to like always be learning and always be knowledgeable of like the new things in the industry and stuff like that. So it's just harder. So and if you're not challenging yourself in like how am I improving, how am I like feeling better, then you can easily fall into that trap. Yeah, you're like, okay, I'm doing okay,
and plus
you're not
like
really questioning it.
I'm a creature of habit. Like I love my routine. Like I will keep saying it in every podcast. Like I will just say like I fucking love my routine, and I thrive under that. And so like having a stable relationship, or at least what I thought was a stable relationship, you know, just because he was nice and treated me well and like there was nothing to complain about, in terms of like, you know, when you are also in like a good relationship, you don't also see how like that can be bad, because then you get stagnant. And I guess that's like also one of the things that happened. It was like, oh, okay, things are going well, so like I got cocky and like it didn't find ways to like improve myself, or felt like, you know, complacent in like where I was, because I was more or less satisfied. But this kind of neutral ground wasn't always the best, I guess. it was just stagnant and being complacent, I guess, were like those two dangerous words to describe. Like,
I have a question. So you this is obviously two people in this relationship.
yeah,
Was he taking care of himself?
that's the big thing, is that, yeah, let's.
He was taking care of you. Was he taking care of him?
No, he would try to, because like I would take care of him and then he would take care of his grandpa. So there was also like a third party involved in this, in all of this. So that was the thing that made things complicated, is not between the two of us, but like a lot of also like external factors, and then like those things impeding him from working on himself. And like you said, like there's a certain point where like we're adults and like we have to be accountable to like, okay, there's a certain point where like you do have to work on yourself, you know, and like do things for yourself and take care of yourself.
Did you guys have a lot in common when you first met?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, you did.
We did.
Because I feel like that's something that just happens in general with people, like not to be heteronormative, but girl and guy meet, they find like they have all these similarities, then they like go into a relationship, but they're like, oh yeah, I'm in a relationship with this guy because we have so much in common, and then that kind of like starts having a snowball effect where it's like you have so much in common and you just build more things in common, and you like feed off of the things that you have in common. Next thing you know, you're like two identical people.
Exactly.
And none of you are unique.
And there's no growth.
And none of you are like individuals who like are doing things for yourself. It's just like one. So that's like, it's enjoyable, I guess, while it's happening, but then it can be very hurtful if the relationship doesn't end up well.
Exactly.
Like in your case, now
and
you're
that's
not
why
in that relationship, and you're like, where the hell do I even start taking care of myself, you know?
It took more than 5 people to replace one person. And not even to replace, but to like set up those systems, because like this person I depended on for so many other things, you know? Or like we just got along on like so many levels, which is like crazy. That like when it ended, literally like a piece of you is like chipped off because you inserted that into them.
That sounds funny.
Or like, what's a better word? You like inject. Okay, it's just getting worse.
I think I know what you mean. But yeah, so
yeah, I pretty much like covered like my part of it. That's really like me. I guess to wrap up what I said, is just like I lost myself in my 3-year relationship, that like little things I couldn't even think of ended up being such a chore because I never had to do it before. And so now it's like I'm 24 and I'm really only starting to like make pancakes now. You know?
Did you make pancakes?
I did.
No, he.
Did he? Yeah, he always like that was a thing. Yeah.
And you would never like, oh, how are you making them? That's funny. That also is a personality thing, I think, because I think I've had a guy, like a single guy, cook for me once. Was that French guy last year? And I was here in the kitchen with him. I was like, what are you doing? What are you seasoning the salmon with? Like, I was so like into learning how to cook this meal that he was doing. So I think also it's a personality thing. Like
that, and
you just liked being treated.
Yeah. And like, well, to think, like I really cooked 90% in that relationship. Like the one thing that he really did was like pancakes, sometimes chicken. Gotcha. So that was the thing that like do it. So like I'm not gonna intervene, whatever. But at the same time, it's like also initiative on my part. Like if you think that something like so silly as pancakes is so mundane, you're never gonna think about how to make it. Like you're just gonna be like, oh, it's so simple. Like I'll figure it out eventually. Which is exactly what it was.
Yeah. Now she makes kick-ass pancakes. I had pancakes at Adrianne's. When was that?
2 days ago or something. It felt forever ago.
Every day has counted for like 3 days lately. I don't know why.
But the other example is like, for example, I said example so many times. One last thing is that, for example, when you start driving, or when you have to like know the directions on your own, like if you're the one actually on the wheel and you can't check your phone and like you're not the passenger, you are actually now like, oh, I've never noticed this street before, or like, oh, that's the left that you're like, and it's like, no, we always pass this street, like you're crazy. And it's like, as the passenger, you're never really paying attention to like where you're going. You're kind of just like, all right, you're the driver, like you go do your thing, like I don't really care, just get me to where I need to go.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like how I treated that relationship. It was like, I'm just a passenger in this situation. Drive the wheel, I'll go where you go. And it's like, here I am, like, I'm just gonna go, we're safe, we have airbags, it's totally fine. And then I'm like, okay, we crashed, now what?
That's a good metaphor.
Yeah. So it's like, even if you kind of somewhat know where you're going,
check in with
you have to check on your own. Like, you gotta verify you're going the right way.
So one of the things we were talking about earlier is how this is something that happens naturally. Like, this is something that happens a lot. So, and it's happened to you. I haven't dated someone consistently for a long time, so maybe that's why I don't think it has happened to me, but I'm sure it can happen to me. It has happened to me with friends, for example. So how are ways that we can kind of stop ourselves when we're doing that and check in with ourselves and make sure we're not falling into that?
Yeah, I like that you bring that up on the flip side, because it's like, okay, here's coming out of like a 3-year relation, like a long-term relationship, and then like you being the person that's like maintaining yourself while having to deal with like multiple people, different personalities as you come and go, and like as people like enter and also like leave your life. Like, how is that how do you do it? Like, what are ways? Like, what are the questions you ask yourself?
Yeah. So I think a big part of everything is you don't have to make a list, but in your head, I guess, try to think about and list down things that make you you. Like, things that make you happy, things that you like, things that you don't like, and that you're like 100% about, and that has always been there. Because they're the things that make you who you are in the end.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
This could be like a growing list. It could be a changing list. Like so like last week, Bianca and I kind of did like some questions, like exercises to also like, build our repertoire between one of us to like also be more comfortable with the camera and like topics like that. And so she started asking me these questions, and it was kind of...
They're difficult questions.
They're difficult questions. Like, you would think that, what makes you happy? Like, you would think that it's such an easy question to answer. But like, if you get more serious about it, it's like, what does make me happy? It took me a bit.
If you ask, what makes me happy? I think that's a more difficult question, because it's like so open.
Yeah.
Right? But maybe an alternative question that is like the same question in disguise can be, what was the last time that you like felt happy? Or like, when was the last time that you were alone, like in a setting by yourself, and you felt happy, like you didn't need anyone else, and you still had a good time, or you still like smiled, or you still laughed, whatever it is. And that can like unravel things that you didn't even realize are like super important to you. Like, for example, a few weeks ago, I really wanted to go to this concert
that I was supposed to go with you with, but then
I invited this one.
Hey, your other friend also flaked.
And I invited another. I had a backup, and both my plan A and my backup canceled on me last minute, both. And I was
I was sick.
Yeah,
I had a good excuse.
It's okay. And also, it was so cold that day.
It was so cold.
But anyway, I almost didn't go. But I was like, you know what, I'm still gonna go, because like part of my plan to go to this concert was to like pitch an idea to these musicians and whatever. And I was sad that both of my friends canceled on me, so like also my mood was bad. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm just gonna call an Uber, get in the freaking car, like stop thinking about this and just go. That was probably one of the best nights this year that I've had, like this year being like almost 3 months.
Yeah, and to think you didn't really get home that late either. You got home at like 1 o'clock, because I got your text around that time. So like, you still had pretty decent, because you'd fall asleep around that time anyway, and you were fine the next morning.
And I had an amazing time. It was like an amazing performance. I even met a guy there, but that's irrelevant. And I pitched my idea, and I just had an amazing time. And I'm like, why did I have such a good time when I was upset? Like, and just being there changed my whole mood, and I was happy that night. And it was music. Like, I love music. I play music, like I play piano, I studied music all my life, and that's like such a big part of me. And every time I go to a concert, I'm like happy. There's like no sadness in me.
It was just all around good
when I'm listening to like a live performance of music I like. So I know for a fact that that's like one of my top in my like what makes me happy list. And
that was recent. That was just last week. It felt like last week. I don't know. It was before I left for San Francisco. So like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So I guess that's a way for you to like start figuring out what are those things for you. Like think of moments that you were by yourself and you were still happy, and like or like a moment you were upset and then something happened that made you happy.
Yeah.
That can help you like figure out what your list is.
And then I'll just add to that is like you took the initiative to go. Like you could have totally just been like, no, I'll stay home. And it's nice that you ended up going, so that now it's like, oh, what was like the last thing that made me happy that I did alone? It's so easy to like reference something that you just did because you took the initiative to do it.
Yeah. It's very easy to fall into the trap of I'm just gonna go.
And it's been like a month and you haven't gone out, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, make that list, and if you are having a difficult time, it's probably because it's been such a long time.
Yeah, and probably because you haven't really. Because there is a chance you don't know. That's a valid answer. Like, I don't know. That's a valid answer. But the fact that you are realizing that you don't know that is going to make you want to figure it out.
Then you can create moments to be happy. You can
put yourself out there in different situations and see what things you end up liking or not. And then next thing you know, you love painting. And that can be your thing when you're feeling low.
And just have a friend. Sometimes it's also good to have like, I mean, it was so great to have you asking those questions, and like you're my friend, so it's easy. Like you remind me of things that like. Can
I tell everyone what your answer was?
Oh yeah, you can go. You can tell.
I was like, Adrianne, what do you like? You know that scene in the Notebook?
What do you want?
Where Ryan goes, he's like, what do you want? And she's like, it's not that simple. That was literally us last week. I was like, Adrianne, what do you like? And you're like, I don't know. And I'm like, just start naming things. And you're like, you?
Because you were just like, it's easy, right? Because it's just right there. And that was a start. You put something
there. You're like,
there.
you? And I go like, Bianca?
Yes.
Dogs, and memes. Like those were Adrianne's number 3, like top three things that make her happy. And
from there, it was so much easier to like start to remember things. I mean, very high level dogs, very like you know simple, basic.
That they make you happy.
Yeah, and like memes. And then from there, like we went on to like talk about like, oh yeah, we did Daybreaker, and we were starting to talk about like that was amazing because it was like first thing in the morning. We should do that again.
Routine, which right after that conversation is when we started a new routine. By the way, I didn't have a new routine.
I call her every morning now at 7 in the morning, but we've been doing it for a week now, so we're upgrading ourselves to 6:30 in the morning.
But it's worked wonders, guys.
Yes.
I go to my office at 10. I get to my office, like I'm supposed to be there at 10. I always get there at 10:30 because I'm the one that's always late. Meaning I wake up at 9:30 because I'm like 30 minutes away from my house. It's like really bad, and that wasn't like my consistent thing. The fact that I've been waking every day at 7 to work out, like not to like be lazy, to work out.
Well, because you also missed the workout class. You were so down. You texted me. You were like, man, I missed this workout like class, and it's I always miss. Yeah, it's like please. And I was like, yeah, sure. I'm actually trying to build a routine. I'll call you at 7 in the morning when I wake up, and that way I won't feel so shitty when I wake up. And so like you've actually helped me just as much as I've helped you.
So it's make me get out of bed.
Yeah, it was perfect.
We basically live together, even if it's weird.
I know. We brush our teeth together.
Bringing it back to like the original thing, the reason why it's important to have that list of things that you like is because let's say you are in a relationship and you are with someone amazing and you have all these things in common, you might notice after a while you like start leaving things that are very
core to you
aside because you're so focused on this person and you're so focused on like creating moments with this person. But then there will come a time when you're like, wait, I don't remember the last time I did something for me. I don't remember the last time for example, I used to love going to like piano recitals. When was the last time I went? Probably like 3 years ago when I was not dating this person. You know, like try to keep the things that were making you happy as a single individual present in your life, even when you're in a relationship.
Exactly.
Yeah. Were you gonna say something?
No, I was just like, basically there were so many things that I discovered that like I freaking love doing. Like reading a book now.
You're reading a book now.
Yeah, I know. Like even in the subway.
I gave to you.
You gave to me.
Can we we like stop lying to the world and just say that we're girlfriend and girlfriend?
I know, guys, we're coming out.
Not really.
Not really. No, let's not take that seriously.
Like honestly, I have a lot of like best friends that I'm really close
We're
to,
coming out as best friends.
but our best friendship is like next level best friendship. I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, and it's just working. So
was the
awesome.
point.
Celebrate great friendships, guys.
Okay, sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah.
So you're reading a book.
So I'm like reading books in
you
the
don't
subway
know-
now.
Did you read any books while you were in this relationship?
It's always been like audiobooks, podcasts, and things like that. I just like, I don't know, it's been so long, like a coffee in the morning, just like by myself and like having that, like just little things that like I never really appreciated or took for granted. Never realized also like, I used to think like, oh, like people aren't sweet enough to me. I've also realized the flip side that it's like, wow, I've been really spoiled. I haven't had to bake pancakes in the last 24 years.
Yeah.
You know, like somewhere along the line, like you also discover like not just like things that you miss, but like things that are, you know,
important for happiness.
Exactly.
So also you mentioned when we were discussing this whole thing about being retrospective and how that's important in order to maintain like the sense of self.
Yeah, so like one of the things that I love doing, I mean, I'm, like I said, very process oriented. One of like the project management ways to like be able to move on from a project so that you're not wasting time or resources is to do a retrospective. And like the way that you do that is like you take in everything, like let's say like within the last 6 weeks or like a month. You can set your own time frame as like if this you're doing something like for your personal self retrospective, and like you just divide them into like two things. It's either pluses and deltas, and pluses are things that like you feel like, okay, like this makes me happy, like this is working, I want to keep doing this, or like these are like little tweaks here and there, but like yeah, it can move on to like the next round, or like I want to keep doing this. Whereas like deltas are like things that either like you just get rid of because it's wasting your time, resources, it's draining just energy unnecessarily, or like these are things that you note that it's like, okay, well there's just like one little thing, we can improve on that, and then maybe next time that you do a retrospective, it can move into like the plus column. So you're always like improving and, you know, prioritizing things, and it's just like an easy way that like works for me, because like lists make me anxious, but
That's so
a retrospective like works for me. So it's also like finding the ways that you can cope, because like for Bianca, like that really works for you, which is awesome.
So you have 2 ways to help yourself: make a list or do a retrospective.
And then some things that you can also do by yourself, like if you or with a friend, are like ask yourself like these questions, and we'll leave you with this, and we'll probably link it in our Instagrams as well. Just like some activities that you can also check in with yourself, like whether or not you're in a relationship or you're like dating or looking to date. I feel like it's always important to like have this and like compare and contrast like what's going on, because like everything's always changing.
And last but not least, a few questions to just ask yourself that I think are very helpful, and they're basically the questions I was asking Adrianne last week.
Yeah,
Maybe
and they were really helpful. So
all right,
we
number
want to
1.
share them with you.
Write this down, everyone. Number 1, am I becoming my partner? Like, just be real with yourself and like stop and think about this. Number 2, how am I still me? Who was I before I became this person's boyfriend or girlfriend?
Yeah, or like who am I now? Because yesterday's me is not the same me sometimes.
So who am I without them? Like, try to imagine a scenario where they're not in your life at this particular moment when you're in a relationship. Who would you be if they weren't there? What parts of them am I copying? Because I think that's inevitable. Like, even with like normal people that you like.
What's that quote? The absorb quote? Can you say that quote?
Oh yeah, I'm getting there.
Okay, cool. I like that one.
Are we good on time?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. So what parts of them am I copying? Because that always happens, but it's good to know like to know consciously what they are instead of just like letting it be. And maybe even ask yourself like, why am I copying that about them? Like, say like, I really like.
Is it actually for you? Do you actually like it, or you're copying it because it's easy,
or because you want to impress them?
Or
yeah. There's so many reasons.
What's your motive into copying?
This is a huge question, but what is my life about? I've asked that to myself, and that's a really hard question because I
Such a
had
hard
no
question.
idea. I'm like, what am I doing?
There
with
could
my
be
life?
like sub-questions underneath that one question.
But those are like
yeah.
to get the ball rolling, to like really know how are you being you, like how are you maintaining who you are in this life.
And you said it will start to like reveal things as the deeper you go and the more time you invest into it.
I'm gonna be the first one to say like it's not easy, and we're not expecting you to be like, oh, I know exactly what to answer there, because you're probably not gonna know.
And
but
this one question could lead to other questions too.
Exactly. But the point is to get the ball rolling and to like just try to think of your life as yours, because it's easy to think of your life as your partner's when you're in a relationship, or like a joint life. But you always got to maintain that individuality as well.
Yes, yeah, maintain individuality. I like that. Well,
where was I when you were in a relationship? Too bad you met me by the end of it.
I know. But now we have a 7 a.m. club, soon to be turning 6:30 a.m. club.
If you want to join our 6 a.m. club, let us know in the comments below. Maybe we'll give you a call through FaceTime if you want to kickstart your routine.
Right?
Anyway.
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing. It's like you're in a hotel and you get a wake-up call. Oh, it's like the best thing. You know when you check into a hotel and then you request for like a morning wake-up call?
Oh, I've never done that.
Oh,
you know what I've always had though? When room service cleaning people come in at like 8 a.m. when you're in a hotel, and I'm like, I'm at a hotel. I'm on vacation. I'm trying to sleep. And they always wake you, like they'll keep knocking until you say something. And I'm like, no. Like, I'm trying to have a vacation. Anyway.
Yes. So anyway, those are the questions that we have that I feel like will help you maintain. Oh, cool. Yeah.
So also partnership.
Oh yes. Yeah. No, that's so good.
Yeah. Like, what is it? What is it for? So basically, if you're in a relationship, you're in a partnership. So try to keep asking yourself every now and then, like, why am I in this relationship? How is it serving me? Is it actually something that's complimenting me, or is it just absorbing my whole freaking life? Like, if there should be a healthy medium where you're like supporting / complimenting each other, and like you're there together, but that's why you establish boundaries too, because you also want to have like your personal space, and you want to like not be fully consumed by this one person, so that you keep your own separate individual life.
Especially if you live together.
Yeah, especially if you live. It's very easy to fall into the whole absorption route if you're living together.
Yeah. Ooh, can I add one more thing? Sorry, did you want to go first?
I think I was gonna say. No, I forgot.
Oh, it might come up, but on your side of things, at least when I guess also like when you're making that list of like, because it's so cool that it's like what do you want like for your life, right? That was a question, and it's like. It's so important to like take the time to actually answer this. Like the more time you invest in like investigating what your life is actually about.
Oh, I remembered. But
cool. But I guess just like see. Oh, now I forgot what I was saying. So go.
What is it?
So take advantage. You go.
I was going to say.
Oh, I remembered. Oh yeah. So this is also true for not just like people that are in long-term relationships. This is also for people like looking to date. Like, what is that reason, right? Because if you don't know what you are and like what you want and like who you are, it's so easy to be pulled in every different direction and to absorb other people's like personalities and hobbies and things like that.
Because you never know your own, so you're like trying to copy someone else.
Exactly. Okay, what was the thing before you forget?
I wrote it down, so we're good.
Awesome.
So, you might be asking yourself, but what's wrong with being like absorbed in a relationship, and why can't I have my whole life be about my boyfriend? I love my boyfriend.
My boyfriend's so good to me, treats me well, this and that. Okay.
Yeah. The reason is because what's the rate divorce in like
50%? What's the rate divorce? 50.
The divorcing rate
here in the United States is 50%. Split down right down the middle.
Point of the matter is 50% of people were in a relationship long enough, and they thought they were meant for each other so much that they freaking got married and made a promise to themselves to be together forever, and then they broke up. Meaning there's always a chance that you and your boyfriend or girlfriend or significant other in general might break up. Like, yes, you love each other and it's amazing, but you never know what can happen because we're people, we're human, and we fail and we're not perfect and all that stuff. So if you are trapped in that situation where your whole life was about your significant other, all you know is how to like be with them, and
Me for 3 years couldn't take care of myself.
you can't even bake pancakes or know what
Kind of medicine. I would have just taken Tylenol for days.
Exactly.
Okay, I was okay with that.
if that happens to you. Then when you break up, which there's a 50% chance it might happen, you're gonna be very lost.
And you
So
want
just
to
get
at
it
least,
out.
you know, like deal with a breakup, great, but at least your sense of self is intact. And I think
Yeah.
that's why we wanted to talk about maintaining sense of self while dating.
And it's not just maintaining sense of self. It's like being in charge of your happiness.
Yes.
Like, that's impossible to like fully conquer, but if you can like at least figure out a way to make that a little bit possible for yourself, you're already winning at life. Like if you know a few things that can make you happy every now and then,
Yeah.
you're killing it.
Yeah, so I feel like those questions are really great places to start.
Take your time answering them.
Yeah, we'll link them to our Instagram, and we'll see you in the comments, guys.